This is a redevelopment project being proposed for the 3rd Street area by JMF Properties. The principal is Mr. Forgione.
Mayor,
I understand that may be rickety. I saw it once. Was it before my time?
no, it's no, I just.
Yeah. Is it possible to have that face this way so the camera can focus on that?
I think we really want to have the council focus on it.
Oh,
Yeah, well, respect.
well, I mean, so we can all see it. Thank you.
Thank you very
Would
much.
you please introduce yourself and your associate, and you may begin.
Thank you very much for taking the time. I sent a letter to the administrator and you. Hope we can get some time, and thank you very much for getting back with us and setting up this meeting, so I appreciate your time. We're going to be no more than 20 minutes. My name is Joe Forgione. I'm the founding member of JMF Properties. My associate Kevin Cody and I have worked on assembling approximately 12 parcels of land known as Block 81, lots 1 through 10. Some of the lots have 1.01 designation, but all in all, there's 14 lots that we're assembling. On the 14 lots, all the lots are encumbered by structures. There's about 14 structures to be demolished. We've taken this is sheet 18 of your tax map. And in red is the area in which we're here to present tonight. And again, it's block 881, lots 1 through 10, and some have designations of .01. There's 14 structures. The largest parcel is known as the Somerset Springs. That's the largest structure. It's about 10,000 square feet structure that need to be removed. Out of the 14 parcels, there's about 5 to 6 which are owner occupied. Of those, we have entered into agreements with 5 of them, owner occupied. The others are tenanted rental units and the like. And we've been pursuing each and every property owner. We have some pending. The one here at the corner was a very difficult man to find. We finally got in touch with him, and we believe that we're going to enter into an agreement with him as well. When you take all 14 parcels of land, it equates to about just under 3.5 acres. Right. So we hope that our presentation tonight the council will agree that this is an area where you would consider designating it in the area in need of redevelopment.
Excuse me.
Yes,
Everybody knows the site that we're looking at. 1st Avenue Railroad Tracks,
Yeah,
3rd Street, and 2nd Avenue.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
No problem. I just want to make sure everybody's on board.
It's about, when you put all 14 lots together, it's about 3.5 acres. And our proposal is to develop a 4-story wrap deck residential project with approximately 300 plus units. So what we've given out to you tonight is a site plan and typical elevation. And we've engaged a planner, John McDonough, to prepare a fiscal analysis which shows you the tax generated from a project of this magnitude for the town. So just to go through it, it's a 4-story stick frame with a wrap deck. The deck is not visible from the streets. Just go to that sheet right here. We have 3rd Street below, 1st Avenue on the side, down by the railroad track, and 2nd Avenue here. The gray area here is a wrap deck, okay? And wherever you see the peach would be building, the green are courtyards, which bring light into the interior units. The deck is visible from the train station, and you enter the parking deck off of First Street. Along Third Street, we have a courtyard with a drop-off area, and in the photo, you'll see there's somewhat of a cul-de-sac kind of scheme, which would be placed right here, and that would be used for drop-off area. Okay. We propose a unit mix of 45% 2 bedrooms, approximately 50% 1 bedrooms, and about 5% studios. We have a projected rent in order to, under a pilot, where you pay, the taxes are 10% of the gross rental income. We've associated with rents, we've done a market study to see where we would position these type of units. So for a 2-bedroom, you're $2,300 a month, a 1-bedroom is $2,000 a month, and a studio is about $1,650. Just for the first, second, the second, third, and fourth floors are mirror images of one another. Really the change would be on the first floor, we're proposing to build approximately 6,000 square feet of amenity space. Typically, the way a building like this works is you have 2 lobbies, one for the residents only with direct access walking to the train. This is the secondary lobby where you would have amenity space. You'd have a leasing center, you'd have a fitness center, a club room, you'd have a virtual fitness, you'd have a meditation and yoga room. Buildings of this magnitude have to be, we use a term called over-amenitized. When they come home, they want everything there. We see this as a true TOD, which is transit-oriented development. It's very close proximity to your train station, which we think is underutilized. And I think that something like this would bring a lot more ridership and a lot more activity at that train station. One of the important amenities to the building is that wrapping deck, is the parking deck. For instance, if your apartment is on the 4th floor, you drive up to the 4th floor deck, and you direct access to the corridor leading to your unit. So we think that's a great amenity from all standpoints, from protecting from weather, security, and the like. So we think it's something that's very, very important. In addition to that, my firm has entered into a joint venture with a company out of Boston called Zaxter. Zaxter is a bike sharing program. It's similar to the City Bike in New York City, that they've privatized it for developments like this. So they come in, and they install a bike rack, they give you an app with these silly things, and you swipe it, and you take the bike, and you use the bike to the downtown center. We also, in something like this, we add 1 or 2 electric car charging, and similar to the bike sharing, we're talking to companies like Enterprise Car, where they keep a car on site, similar to a Zip card. And we have a car sharing program. We're seeing projects like this, true TODs, with this proximity to the train, parking anywhere between a space per unit to 1.26, 1.5 at the max. We parked this today just under 1.5, or about 1.27, 1.3. We think it's ample parking. We're seeing a lot of, and you'll see that in the bedroom mix, you have more 1-bedrooms than 2-bedrooms. We see that much more in demand. We've also studied some other projects in the region, and we see more of a demand for the 1-bedroom than the 2-bedroom. Again, a project of this magnitude and the amount of the demolition, the environmental, there's some substantial environmental concerns with these Somerset Spring. In order for a project like this to take off, it really needs to be designated as a redevelopment. The redevelopment shows stability in taxes, which is much easier to finance, and it takes out the uncertainty as to what the taxes will be. So that's something that we would like to discuss with you in our presentation, and our proposal would be to ask the council to engage a planner and do the blight, and something known as a blight study to see if it complies. Right now, the total tax on all 14 parcels is $88,854 per year. The tax through the county and what is distributed to the county, the difference is that the amount of money coming to the town out of that 88,000 is 25,750. So you're passing just under $60,000 of the tax to the counties.
The county and schools.
Yeah, school.
County and schools, I'm sorry.
60%.
Right. On the first year stabilization, we gave you a chart which shows you on the third year, it's the second one. So that's a 30-year spreadsheet. Under year one, under stabilization, again, currently you're keeping $25,750. After the first year of stabilization, the town receives $720,000. Nationally, rents are going up anywhere between 4 to 6.5%. Nationally, rents are increasing at a rate of 3%. In the Northeast, they're rising at a rate of 4 to 6%. And the closer you are to a train station, we see more of a stabilization, less vacancy, and the ability to increase taxes, rental rates. We also had our planner, John McDonough, do a study on how many school-age children he believes that a project like this would generate. He suggests that there's 6 children, that would be generated a project of this magnitude. And again, its design, the common corridor, the elevator, parking deck, no real outside amenity other than seating areas, doesn't lend itself to attract families with children. Our target market here is basically young singles, young married, roommates, and forever single. We see that becoming the trend. We're completing a redevelopment project in Denville right now. We just started leasing Not One Child. It's at the train station in Denville. We're seeing a wide range of demographics. Relocation, where the husband is working in New York, or the wife is working in New York. One has been relocated to the New York area. One will take the train, the other one is going to look for a job where they can drive. So we're seeing a lot, two in particular, that sold their home and they're using the rental as a second home. And the fact that they have a garage and the rental would be a second home. So they're spending the majority of their time in Florida in a warmer climate. What a project like this brings to your downtown, and something that you can't put a number on, but it really helps the merchants in your downtown. It brings some kind of mass to what's desperately needed in the housing market, and this is where we see the trend. If you have any questions, I told you I'd be brief, but if there's any questions?
I got a couple questions.
Yes, sir.
So you're saying a lot of these people you believe are going to take the train. How are they going to get to the train?
They walk.
One block.
So,
Yeah, it's
I understand they're going to walk.
yeah, why don't we, go back to the tax map?
They're gonna walk.
They walk here.
Yeah. They're gonna walk, okay?
So this is an aerial. Here's the train station,
I
right
get
here. It's not a very far walk.
No, I know that.
Yes, sir.
But I didn't know that there was a path back there. I know a lot of people like to cut through the church to go through there.
You
That-
can't.
That's
You
where
can't
that-
get through the church.
Okay.
There's a path there currently. We have met with New Jersey Transit in all of our redevelopments where we've offered, right now, there's probably not enough covered areas for ridership. We'll come in, we'll put the concrete in so long as they put the covered area.
Yeah,
We can work with New Jersey Transit if that's something that you would like us to further explore to improve that path.
yeah, listen, for my whole life, I never walked back there, so I was,
That's where the parking lot is.
I know where, I know where it is, but
Oh, all right.
again, I would just jump the fence of St. Anne's and walk through the parking lot. That's what I would do.
Can't do that.
Okay.
It's not.
That's why I was asking, and then you only believe six kids?
That's,
In total, like in total, not like,
in
for the,
total, sir.
wow, out of 350 units.
306.
Okay, that's, I have another question, because I have a bunch of firemen here, and this kind of relates to them. Sometimes when people come in and they develop, they kind of have a plan with the fire, sometimes they help them out or anything. So, I'm not, I don't know if it's gonna go through or it's not, but I would ask you to always, we got some volunteer firemen here, and, if something was to happen, they come help you out, always try to take care of the volunteer firemen.
Understood. The building is a fully sprinklered building.
Mhm.
It's probably a 3A building, I'm not sure, because it's based on the volume and the codes. But certainly that's one of the review processes going through police, fire, and environmental.
What type of timeline, if everything were to go forward, would you have on this project?
We would, as soon as we had the approvals, we would move forward and begin the construction.
So what in your mind is that timeline?
It depends, it really, in large part, is up to you. In Maplewood, we purchased the former PSC&G building. We had the designation, the plan, the site designated as redeveloper, the redevelopment. We were designated as the redeveloper. The ordinance was passed in less than 2 months. But the council there met twice a week, and so did the planning board, so they were able to get it done in less than 2 months. I don't, if you look at the condition of the property, especially the Somerset Spring, I don't think that the planner you choose to write the report would argue that the site is not being utilized in its highest and best use.
Well, I agree with that. Did you look at the roads surrounding, any issue, problem, anything crop up about any of them that you wouldn't like to talk about, or no issue at all?
We chose to come off of First Ave for the parking deck and consolidate any car traffic off of First. We see whatever traffic's gonna be generated from this would be visitor parking or drop off at X and that sort of thing. We could look at that as part of your traffic study.
There is some congestion there several times during the day. Let's stick to the roads.
The demographic, people that are coming here are people that are in the area, and you'd be surprised at the pent-up demand for this type of product. Some of the comments that we're getting in Denville is that it's nice that I sold my house in Montville, and I didn't have to downgrade in finishes. And what they like, again, is the clubhouse, the pool, and the like. It's a lifestyle. So what you're trying to build here is not just another rental community. You're really there's a lot of competition. We over-amenitize the building because I think that it's just the lifestyle. People are looking for the lifestyle more than just a place to live.
You would be responsible for trash and snow removal and all that, right?
Yes, yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
that's not something we would have to do.
I got another question with pulling out of that place.
Yep.
Because it's not, right, there's a traffic light at this intersection here, so when they pull out, right, am I
You're right.
up here? So we're gonna allow people to make a left-hand turn. The only reason why I say that is traffic there, Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 at night, or 7 to 9 in the morning is, I think, crazy. So I would just think that making a left out of that place would be dangerous.
Okay, one of the things that we with the traffic study, we will analyze, maybe the signalization at this intersection may need to be changed. The left turn out may need to be restricted, that would come out of our traffic study.
No, yeah, I would just hope that you would look into it, because there's also, there's kind of a dip, so I would think, the visibility isn't always that great. I mean, I drive up every morning and it backs up sometimes to that traffic light from 202.
But you're counting on, I would assume that the majority of people
We're
are
gonna
going to
commute,
train station and not be using their personal vehicles.
We're seeing it both ways, and it's really important you should know that. There is a certain amount of 25% or better that really desires this type of product. And so they will come here and still commute with the car. I'm not here to say that 100% of the residents are going to use the train. A good part of them absolutely will. I will tell you that in the two-bedroom, at least one does. That's at least what we're envisioning, especially with something so close to the train.
Right.
I mean, otherwise, why would you want to be so close to the train?
Well, obviously, it's a big asset.
Right.
It is. Yeah.
The amenities that we put in the finishes, we're breaking ground in Plainfield. There we're including a theater. So when you look at these demographics and we start to look at our competition, that's something that we may need to add. We may need to drop a unit and add a theater. Because it's not just about leasing up and stabilizing the asset, it's retaining them. And more often than not, when I first started in the business, it was always 85% two bedrooms and the rest one bedroom. Today we're seeing the shift, so that's why our mix is much higher on the one bedroom. That's one. And number two, we're seeing people wanting to take 2-year leases. They're not renting because they're trying to get into a school system. They're renting by choice. That's really where the trend is going. And so you don't want to just lease and stabilize, you want to retain. And so that's the way we look at it. Look, if a unit is empty, I'm still heating it or air conditioning it, paying taxes and sewer and water connections, right? So you'd rather keep them leased, and the way to keep them leased and maintain them is over-monetize the building. It's no different than New York City. If you look at the West Side Highway versus East Side, it's always, everyone wants to live on the East Side, right? Because it's a silly show. But if you look at what's happening on the West Side Highway today, everyone's over-monetizing, bringing them this way. West Side Highway has become the hot place to live. And again, because the developers have seen that, and they're addressing, they're changing their plans and over-monetizing and giving more. Finishes are very, very important. Most of these people are coming out of a home. Storage, parking, very, very important.
Okay, we're running a little long. Any other? Now, as I mentioned, I did invite, thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
No, unless there are any questions.
Any other question then? If not, I would like to, I invited our redevelopment council just to lay out the process. And if you wouldn't mind, please introduce yourself to the members.
Sure. Mayor, Council President, members of the council, members of your administrator, and members of your professional staff, members of the public. My name is Jeff Lehrer. I'm from the law firm of Buchanan Seskin Bateman in Warren Township. I'm not here to talk about the merits of this at all. I'm really here just to talk to you about process this evening. I haven't even seen the plans that Mr. Forgione provided. I know that he is a fairly reputable developer in this area. I'm really here to talk to you about redevelopment in general. A little bit about myself. I've been practicing law for 34 years, have been land use redevelopment attorney, municipal attorney, zoning board attorney, planning board attorney for most of that time. Zoning board attorney for 16. I'm currently the township attorney in Warren, currently the township attorney in Raritan Township, redevelopment attorney in East Brunswick. I've also been involved in several redevelopment projects. The Golden Triangle project that Jack Morris built in East Brunswick, I handled that entire process for the municipality. In Warren Township, there is a 35-unit redevelopment off of Du Bois Avenue that I did from beginning to end. So I've been involved in the process for a long time. And the process itself starts with you as a council, where if you think that you want to move forward, you merely pass a resolution and refer and requested the planning board, which is, I think, it's a combined board here, you ask the planning board to conduct what's called a preliminary investigation to determine whether this project will meet one or more of the criteria under the local redevelopment and housing law for designation as an area in need of redevelopment. There are a series of criteria: dilapidated housing, functional obsolescence. Essentially, there needs to be what you would commonly call blight in order for the planning board to make that determination. The planning board prepares a map, the planning board prepares a report through its professional. There is a public hearing at the planning board level. It's open to the public. There's 2 notices required to all interested parties within the redevelopment area that have to be provided. There has to be a public notice in the newspaper. And then the planning board conducts a hearing to determine whether it meets one or more of those criteria. If it does, then they will issue a report back to you and say that it meets one or more of the criteria for redevelopment. You then take control again and then can formally designate, if you want. The report comes back to you. It is a discretionary function on your part whether you want to formally designate it as an area in need of redevelopment. The planning board merely recommends and says, yes, it does meet one or more of the criteria, and then it's up to you to adopt a resolution to formally designate as an area in need of redevelopment. The next step, if you do designate, is you can take the responsibility on yourself as the redevelopment entity to be involved in the preparation of the redevelopment plan. Or you can refer it back to the planning board to prepare the redevelopment plan. The redevelopment plan is actually becomes your overlay zoning. It becomes your zoning ordinance, and you adopt that plan by ordinance. So that process is a collaborative effort between the stakeholder, the developer, and the council and or the planning board. Ultimately, you adopt that redevelopment plan, and it has all the bells and whistles that you want to see. You can also require traffic analyses, fiscal analyses, to determine how this will fiscally make sense to the borough. You can, and all of this, by the way, to say it, Mr. Forgione, can be funded by the developer, so that you can ask that funding agreement be prepared, and they would fund your professionals to analyze and to prepare all of those reports for your clarification and the planning board's clarification, so they understand. So if you adopt the redevelopment plan by ordinance, that becomes the zoning. So the zoning is in place essentially for the developer to then go forward. That's not the end of the process. You then enter into a redevelopment agreement with the designated redeveloper. And it says that you will build the project as follows. There's a time frame. There is a manner within which the project is to be built. There are assurances that the project will be done, that they have the ability to get the project done. And then there's something called the pilot. You may have heard it from Mr. Forgione. That is a separate document that is called payment in lieu of taxes if you decide to go that route. And it's really a decision that you make with the developer, because there is a profit, there is a maximum profit that an urban renewal entity can make under a redevelopment plan. If they want to go that route of do a pilot, then their profit margins are restricted by state statute. They have to create an urban renewal entity. It doesn't have to be that. It can be regular taxes. If it makes sense for the borough and for the developer to do a pilot, 95% of the income goes to the borough, 5% goes to the county, none of it goes to the school district. However, you can, if you want to give a portion of that to the school district, it's up to you. You don't have to do that, but that is entirely within your discretion. There is a significant financial benefit to do a pilot. because of that 95%, it goes into your coffers, whereas right now, what, 18% of every dollar goes into the municipal coffers, 95% will go into the municipal coffers. So it's a significant financial benefit. That would be done by way of a financial agreement, and then that is adopted by ordinance as well. So there are two ordinance events. One is the adoption of the redevelopment plan, and the other is the adoption of a financial agreement if you take that path. And ultimately, then the developer, after all those pieces are in place, you move forward. Mr. Forgione mentioned 2 months. It's a little bit aggressive, but I suppose that if everybody's working along that path, then I'd give you a little bit more time. I think a little bit more like, if everyone is interested in moving the process along, it can take anywhere between 3 to 6 months to get the process done.
Thank you. I invited Mr. Lara here because I know that a couple of you were surprised that we were at the planning board meeting as opposed to council tonight. Nice job explaining it, thank you. I just have 2 questions before we proceed, really to Mr. Forgione. Are you looking for any borough money for purposes of subsidizing or investing in this project?
No, Mayor.
Okay. And then secondly, Mr. Lara suggested that you do cover, I don't know if it's required or not, but you would cover the expenses for the process in terms of the experts that you defined. Is that correct in your intention?
Yes, sir. We would form a escrow agreement, Mr. Lair, who was
Funding agreement,
100 times, would do it. I think, Mr. Lair, we do that after the blight study.
Right, it's normally done once the designation is made, the formal designation by the governing body is made, then the process of preparing the redevelopment, a plan and redevelopment agreement, a financial agreement, all of those fees are paid for. My fees, whatever professionals you retain, planner, that would all be covered under this funding agreement. So I would prepare that funding agreement, yes.
Okay. So where we sit tonight, if it's the council's pleasure, is that it basically doesn't seem to be much of a reason not to proceed with the study. But I would obviously leave that to the council, but would that be your suggestion, sir?
Well, the first step is for you to determine whether you want to refer this to the planning
Right.
board.
That's what I was saying, yes.
And then a resolution would be prepared. I can prepare that resolution for you.
Okay. Gentlemen? I would like to have a motion for, any other questions? I'd like to have a motion for a resolution to have the planning board study this.
I make a motion.
Second.
Second. Any discussion further, gentlemen? Ladies and gentlemen, sorry. Can we roll call, please?
Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Council President Karen?
Yes.
Councilman Danilo?
Abstain.
Councilman Fooey?
Yes.
Councilman Giraldi?
Yes.
Councilman Sebelia?
Yes.
Thank you.